That's fine.
All right. Thank you. So in terms of sustainability, I think it was a very timely topic for the Pacific and also for the other countries as well. I mean, during the unprecedented times of COVID-19 and also other business uncertainties actually facing us. So let me walk through uh, the my presentation. Quite a brief presentation I made. I mean, on the sustainable strategies for the Pacific Islands, especially in the case of Solomon Ports. Now, with regard to the contents, I have made it very brief as per the instructions given to us. So I made it, why sustainable ports are important to Pacific Islands, and the adoption of an integrated sustainable model, and in the case of Solomon Ports, in our journey towards sustainability so far. So in this presentation, I've tried to be more realistic, and also be practical in terms of what we have done and the need for the Pacific, rather than actually more theoretical. So now the first the slide is the sustainable port, why it's so important for the Pacific, small Pacific Islands. And as you might know, and some of you actually might not have much of an understanding of Solomon Ports and in the far Pacific, we are located close to Australia and New Zealand, and as our our big brothers actually in the Pacific. But in the meantime, actually Solomon is located towards more towards actually southwest of the Pacific, small country, and we are all small actually as Pacific Islands, and then the ports are small too. So, but they are very integral part of the sustainability and the economic resilience of Solomon Islands and also in the Pacific. So ports are basically critical gateways to our economic resilience. And also we as Pacific, we rely mainly on the waterborne transport due to our geographical dispersion, and as well as Solomon's consisting of more than 900 islands. It's a large archipelago, and similar to other Pacific island nations as well. So it's quite difficult for the transportation of goods and services to many different small islands. Actually, there are still actually a lots of many number of people live there in those small islands. So some of the modes of different transports actually are not even available or not in existence. Actually, they are very costly. Especially air transport is quite costly in Solomon and even in the Pacific too, because and also we don't have rail transport mechanisms, because we are, as a country, actually we are quite small. And in terms of the landmass, actually we have very few flat land masses, so it's quite difficult to run railroads within the country. So the primary mode of transportation is the waterborne, and it's the ports play a pivotal role not only in Solomon Islands, in the all Pacific countries. And it's also a strategic need for the Pacific for its livelihood and long-term survival. So because the huge archipelagos and the geographic dispersion and the isolation, so has a lot of challenges, as small Pacific ports and Pacific islands. So the waterborne transport or the ports become an integral part in the economic resilience. That's one of these are the main reasons why the sustainability is a key topic, and it's an important topic for the small Pacific island countries. Now, if you look and so in doing so, we have been trying to identify different models, and of course we are part of Port Australia, and as part of the region. So we were able to find something that's very unique, and also that's also it suits our macroeconomic factors and also the way we run the port. So we were able to adopt a model, and we call it as an integrated port sustainability model, which is again actually been developed by North Queensland Bark Ports, and as well as the docks, the future EU. So these are two models that we use in our sustainability program, and as well as in creating a roadmap for sustainability for small Pacific Island ports, especially for Solomon Islands. So as we call it as an integrated sustainability model, we are looking at the PPP and as well as some of the UN SDGs. We are looking at different aspects that can be connected seamlessly for our sustainability, looking at the environment, the workplace, the planning for the future. Actually, there is more resilient plans, port community and the port city dialogues, and especially the smart port operations. And so these are some of the areas we are critically looking at, which is well represented in this model developed by North Queensland Bar Ports Corporation. So with respect to the authors actually who are developed it, and also as we call the integrated port sustainability plan. Um, so so as basically the webinar, the sustainability, we are looking at 3 core areas of data collaboration, the climate and energy, and risk and resilience. So I've been able to get the presentation actually focus on these 3 key areas. So in terms of the, achieving connected sustainability through, especially on data collaboration, which is a very key aspect for sustainability for small Pacific ports. That is number 1. And we are looking at the triple P. We also need to make profits because we are small Pacific islands. We have low volumes in terms of, the throughput, and also the resources, and also in the population wise, we are small too. So that, in terms of making profitability is quite efficient. So in order to make profits, we need to be efficient. So in order to be efficient, we are looking at many areas actually how we can make our port more smarter and as well as more efficient. So the automation and also like even introducing more IT and many systems is one of the key initiatives we have taken in the last couple of years to bring this port to certain efficient levels and also reduce inefficiencies and data duplication and many more. So and we also actually as a small port, we are the first Pacific port integrate a billing terminal operating system and a weighing motion system. Have been basically integrated together for seamless data sharing, and also that reduced a lot of idle time as well. So we also implemented a one-stop shop, and of course we are a little far away from the single window concept of when it comes to FAL convention, because we still actually have a lot of challenges and things to be developed, but we still actually have been able to develop one-stop shop for container clearance in Solomon ports. So that also actually gives us some more improved efficiency, and that helps to actually build our resilience, and as well as more improved profits as well. The introduction of a kiosk system for the container clearance, we were planning to implement it this year, but due to the COVID-19, we had to postpone it for next year, but which we are planning a clearance kiosk. And then we are the first to run the longest fiber optic network connecting both ports, and even in both ports, of course, in Solomons, in Honiara and Port of Noro, and connecting all satellite offices to the fiber optic network. So data collaboration is one of the most critical aspect in terms of sustainability for Pacific ports, especially for Solomons. And this is how we have been able to achieve certain goals in the recent past. And so, and one of the main areas I want to talk about in terms of our sustainability, because as Mike from Port Australia, rightly mentioned, sustainability is not it's a journey. It's not, there's no end and it's a long destination that we need to travel, and there's no end to it. So in terms of climate and energy, we are focusing mainly on using renewable energy for the port operations, and how we can reduce the consumption of fossil fuel actually for energy production, especially in Solomons. If you have noted, we have the highest energy cost in the world as a result of we burn more fossil fuel for our energy production, like the electricity. So our grid is entirely powered by diesel. So in Solomon ports, we invested quite a lot of resources actually, and time and money to build renewable energy sources actually to fulfill our energy needs. And I can say at present we fulfill 40% of our energy consumption derived from renewable sources. That's a great achievement for a small port like Solomons, and our target is to achieve 60% by 2022. So we have done quite a lot of work in, and also we are champion green energy and green port initiatives in the region, and also setting certain benchmarks and standards as well in terms of the solar perimeter lights for ISPs, large. I mean, of course, invariably the largest LED outfit to reduce the energy consumption in the terminals. And we're also planning. We are basically planning to set up the 1 megawatt solar farm in Port of Noro in 2021. Again, we had to postpone it for 2022, which is now underway. Some of the works actually to be done in 2022, and also to have ambitious target to be completely carbon neutral by 22, and most of the offices to be powered by solar energy. So these are some of the initiatives that we took in terms of reducing our energy consumption and to use more renewable sources actually for our energy production. And of course, we are a little far away from shore power, because since actually we still cannot produce enough power actually for some of the vessels, especially for cruise liners. It's if you're looking at shore power, we are looking at 15 megawatts of power. I mean, if you look at the consumption of a large cruise vessel, but still those are far away for us. But we are looking at how we can be sustainable through using renewable energy sources and reducing the cost and reducing the consumption. And so that's why we're looking at some of the UN SDGs, like the climate action, the affordable clean energy for the ports, and also for the Pacific to make us more sustainable. And because as you all know, in the Pacific, we are also subject to rising sea levels, and most of actually the especially some of the domestic jetties, and as well as some of the other ports. I mean, we have actually now have problems in the adequate free boarding. So as a result of rising sea levels as well. So these are some of the problems we face. So we are actively working towards using renewable energy, and also actually making a voice on on climate action, and as well as reducing the cost of operation of Pacific ports, especially in Solomons, to make us more sustainable as well. So, and going forward, also we are looking at very effective strategies for risk and resilience as well. And if you look at Solomons and even the Pacific, we are sitting on the ring of fire, which is subject to a lot of seismic disturbances, cyclones, and as well as for tsunamis as well. But even though actually these are not very frequent climate conditions, but we had some of the negative impacts in the past. So as a result, we are looking at making ourselves more resilient in terms of the infrastructure. Even when building infrastructure, we are doing all the climate proofing methods, and also building new lifelines for our wharves and jetties. And then we are trying to make ourselves more broad-based port services in order to improve our revenue and mitigate some of the risk, especially during these pandemic times, which has helped us to we survive with some of the savings we have made through renewable sources, and looking at our risk profile in a very frequent manner to understand actually what are the risks that you are facing in the Pacific, and what are the mitigation plans, and then looking at actually the new methods, or actually even technology and infrastructure to make them more robust and as well as sustainable for the future. So we are also doing a lot of work on the new lifeline section for the Honiara, because now the first wharf, which was gifted to us by Japan and JICA, is being built to withstand some of the seismic disturbances. And we are building now the second lifeline, that is the second berth, also actually to withstand certain seismic disturbances as well. So because to make the port more resilient in terms, because with one wharf, because we are small, but with one wharf, it's very difficult actually for us to turn around vessels efficiently. So we are looking at both facilities to be more resilient and infrastructure-wise sound for the future. So, and most importantly, I want to mention now, being a small port, so we have taken a lot of initiatives in these three main focus areas, like the data collaboration, the climate and energy, and as well as mitigating risk and improving resilience. And it's the most important thing I want to, convey to rest of the small Pacific ports, not only in the Pacific but also in the Caribbean. It's, to have a very realistic but an ambitious roadmap that to be developed to make the ports more sustainable, and developing a proper and a good sustainability strategy, as Port Australia has recently developed. Superb. I had a look at those documents in the sustainable in the development guide for rest of the ports actually to follow as a fundamental framework, which we too have adopted certain principle based on that, and the model that we have adopted from North Queensland ports. So these are some of the works we have done in order to actually make us sustainable, but as a journey. But this is not the end. So we are looking at developing a good roadmap and more realistic to achieve certain goals for the Pacific, and also setting up certain benchmark and see how we can achieve and make Solomon ports, and also set a standard in the Pacific for other ports to follow. How the Pacific, which the infrastructure and the ports are more critical, how we can be more sustainable for the future. So this is our case study. I mean, this is the case of Solomon ports, which I wanted to share, and I would like to say thank you for Port Klang and as well as IAPH actually for the opportunity given once again, for us to portray what we have been able to achieve, what we have done, and also actually developing a sustainable strategy for small Pacific ports in the future. And thank you very much, for the time. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thanks once again, and it's been nice to be with you. Thanks.